How do you know when it's time to leave? Man, that's a question that I receive all the time. And one of the concepts that I repeat in at least 2 of my 3 books is the concept that we should all have an agenda, a professional agenda. And the agenda is made up of 2 pieces. One is the job, or as I like to call it, the seat. And the other is the house. And the house is where you're prosecuting the seat, which is frankly the organization or the company that you're with. In your agenda, when you are deciding whether or not you should take a seat, there are questions that you should ask. What kind of skills do I want to gain in that seat? What kind of people do I want to meet? What kind of career platform do I want to establish? What kind of trajectory do I want to create? Those are questions that you ask yourself before you take a specific seat. Then there are questions that you ask about the house. Do I like this organization? Are their values aligned with mine? Do I think there are people that could be sponsor candidates for me? Those are some of the questions that you might ask yourself before you make the decision to go to a specific house, the organization, or frankly, the company that you're thinking about. This is important because when you start to feel like you're no longer inspired by your job, it's getting hard to wake up in the morning, you're frustrated all the time, you're dreading having to go in, that's when you should start to go back to your agenda and start asking those questions so that you can diagnose your problem. Have you fully prosecuted the seat is the first question you should ask yourself. Have I gained all the skills that I wanted to get out of that seat? Have I acquired the experiences that I wanted to get out of that seat? Do I still have a career trajectory that I believe is in an upward position? If the answer is yes, then you know your problem is not the seat. There are still things for you to get from that seat. So now you ask yourself questions about the house. Do I still like the people? Are the values of the organization still aligned with mine? Are there still sponsor candidates for me? Or do I have a sponsor in this organization? Can I still get a sponsor in this organization? If the answer is yes, then your problem is not the house. And we've just established that it's not the seat. Now it's easy to diagnose the problem. It's a person. It's a person that is confounding your success, that is serving as an obstacle to your moving ahead, that is stopping you from being able to expand your portfolio of skills and experiences in that organization. And now it's time to remind yourself that there isn't a person born that you can't get around. And whenever you're feeling constrained by one person, that means you have failed to invest in the network. Because remember, your performance creates the opportunity for you to move within your organization or to move up. But it's the relationships that actually drive your mobility. So if you're feeling constrained by one person, then you need to start making sure that you are investing in building your network so that you have the opportunity to start having those conversations that will allow you to move throughout the organization. On the other hand, as you ask yourself questions about the seat, it turns out that you have fully prosecuted the seat. And it's not a person, it's not the organization, but you know this job like the back of your hand, and it is no longer providing excitement for you, and it is no longer adding to your experiential tool chest. Now you start to think about what other roles you want within the organization. And make no mistake, it is your job to figure out what other roles might be of interest to you. While many organizations will post inside jobs on job boards, a lot of the really important positions are not posted on those job boards. People are selected or they're put on a short list for those opportunities. This is why it is so very important that you build relationships around the organization, because most often that's when you're going to find out that this department is looking for a senior person, or that department is already starting to talk to candidates for that senior position. So making sure that your relationships around the organizations are fertilized is going to be important. The organizations are expecting you to raise your hand and identify opportunities that you are interested in. You should be having these conversations at least a year before you think you're ready to move. And the conversation goes like this. You know, I've been doing this role for the following 4 years, and it's been amazing. And frankly, I love it. I've learned A, B, and C. But as I think about what I'd like to do within this organization, my biggest priority is to continue to add and be a major contributor and to be seen as a major contributor within this organization. So because of that aspiration, I believe that the next role should have this kind of content or should look like this. Or if you know what those roles are, you should say like that role, and that role. I believe that I would be great in those roles for these 3 reasons, leveraging the experience that I've acquired for the last 4 years in this role. So in the next year, I'd like to be in a position to get one of those roles. How do we do that? That's the script that you need to deliver at least a year before you're ready to move. So the organization can start thinking about what they might do either to get you those specific positions that you pointed out or to get you a job or a role that will have some of the content of that role so that you can eventually be ready for that role or maybe even beyond. You never want to hem yourself in when you're talking about new opportunities within the same organization. You don't want to hem yourself in by being specific about just one job. Remember, it's the content that matters. While the job may be interesting, the title may be interesting, you want the content so that you can acquire the title either within that organization or perhaps in another one if you can't get it in that organization. But it's the content of the job that really matters. Don't poo-poo the job that you're on right now. Continue to talk about that in a constructive and value-add way, but talk about your desire to be able to add even more, to take on even more responsibility, to contribute in a bigger way. Now, if you don't believe that you'll have the opportunity to do that within your organization, now you also want to start to allocate some time in your week to start to network externally, even more aggressively than you have been. And you're actually doing the same thing. You're talking about your desire for a bigger challenge. You're talking about some of the content that you might be interested in. But I would tell you that if you've already invested a lot of time in the organization that you're in now, you owe it to yourself to give them a chance to be able to match your needs. Because if you have invested well and they have valued your contribution, in the environment that we're in now, they're certainly going to try to do what they can to fulfill your desires so that they can keep you the great talent that you have been for them all of these years. Now, if you find yourself in a position, especially in this environment, where you have to look around because you've been displaced or restructuring is coming, do not fret. I want you to take a little bit of time and think about yourself outside of yourself. Think about all the experiences that you've had. And if you were describing this said person, what kind of skills does this person have now? What kind of experiences have they had? What kind of challenges have they overcome? The reason why I'm telling you to step outside of yourself and sort of take an inventory is often when we're thinking about ourselves, we sell ourselves short. We don't really gather all the things that we have done. We're not looking at ourselves as a dispassionate entity. But when you step outside of yourself and you start writing down all the things that you have done and things you have accomplished and challenges that you've overcome, you'll see that you have a pretty good track record and something to be very proud of. It's also important that you do that exercise because as you start talking to people, you don't want to start on your back foot. You want to start from a position of strength of all the things that you've done. Your best opportunities are in front of you, honey. So make sure you sell the things that you've done and you sell them well. When you go into a new opportunity, remember 3 things. Know why you want that opportunity, why you think you will excel, and make sure that you communicate that you know what it takes to be successful in this new role and articulate that so that the interviewer, the listener, will know that you have a design on how you're going to excel in this new opportunity. Go get 'em.